first appearance before a judicial officer. When I call your case, please remember your rights, the first one being the right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Let me see now. Courtroom 2? Is that where we're going to begin with?
Position number 10.
Okay.
Excuse me, Your Honor, can I give you the reset date first?
Yes, please, Ms. Bridgewater.
Yes, it's going to be November the 12th.
Okay, thank you. This is State versus Brianna Jewel Shiver, accused of 2 counts of battery. Ms. Shiver, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Your case number is 24 CR 007367G, and the incident date appears to be October 5th of this year. Mr. Howard, any priors?
10 adult arrests. Last arrest was in July. Clayton County, battery, trespass. 2016 probation. 2016 battery DV, simple battery DV, battery dismissed. 2013 battery dismissed. That's it.
Okay. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant has criminal history out of both Georgia and New Jersey. She does have an open Clayton County case from July for an assault and criminal trespass. She's completed pretrial intervention for public drunk. She also received pretrial intervention for a prior battery in 2012 and shoplifting. This incident happened on the 5th of October. Police were called to 3650 Jonesboro Road Southeast to the scene of a collision. There they met with the victim. Her name is Jasmine Peterson. There had been a collision on Jonesboro Road, and there was a witness, Mr. Cole, who also spoke to police. Mrs. Peterson reported that after the collision on the Jonesboro Road location, she and the defendant, Mrs. Shiver, exchanged information. But when she asked for the defendant's insurance information, the defendant refused to provide that information and started to become belligerent. Both women got out of their car. And at that point, Jasmine Patterson was struck in the face and in the head. She was struck multiple times by the defendant in front of you. She was seen to have scratches on her face, under her eye, and scrapes on her knees. She also had bruising on both of her hands, and her 3-year-old was present in the car with her. The defendant had fled in a red vehicle. Police spoke to the witness, who said he saw the entire altercation and wanted to stay on the scene to assist to make sure that Mrs. Patterson was okay and make sure police were aware of what had happened. The defendant was identified through information about her vehicle, and she was picked out of a 6-person lineup. Your Honor, out of the 7 cases, 7 times this young lady's been arrested, 6 of them are all for assaults. This is an assault on a stranger after a collision on the side of the road. We spoke to Mrs. Patterson today. She reported that she'd told the defendant on the scene that her child was in the car. The defendant told her she didn't care. She reported that the defendant was intoxicated and had attacked her. This is a stranger assault. People should feel safe driving on the roads of Georgia. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. No contact with the victim in this case.
What's the second count for battery for?
She was repeatedly struck with this young lady's hands. She was struck, and the injuries she caused included swelling and scratches on multiple parts of her body.
All right.
So she was struck on the face, causing a scratch on her face. She was struck, causing her to fall on her knees. She was struck on the side of her head.
All right. Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor. Of course, they in trial court, they can argue about whether it's all one incident or multiple strikes cause extra counts. I won't address that today because we're not trying it, but I do note that it was one incident. Your Honor, my client is 33 years old. She has had some college, a couple of years of college in fashion design. She has a business doing fashion design. She also works for a corporation that does administrative business, Your Honor, and has done that for 2 years. So she's in both arenas. Given her arrest history, we understand what that is. We'd ask the court. I would also point out that it's very easy to get her. It was very easy to obtain her Rex, Georgia address, a couple of phone numbers. She's been in Georgia 13 years, so she's practically, I would consider that local. So we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. And if the court can't do a signature bond, then we would ask the court to consider a $1,000 surety. Thank you.
On count one, that's going to be a $1,500 surety bond. Count two is a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. This is a total of $2,500 split bond. No further contact with Jasmine Patterson. She's to stay 200 yards away from Miss Patterson and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And next court date will be November 12th. Thank you. Are we ready in courtroom one, or does counsel need to confer with Mr. Is it Mendoza or
Mendez Moya.
Mendes Moya?
I don't see a hyphen, but a space between the word Mendez and the word Moya in his name.
Mr. McLean, do you need to speak with him with an interpreter?
I do.
All right. Let's see. Courtroom two, we'll be addressing cases with Mr. Keith Cook, and if the host will please place Ms. Chansey, courtroom one, and Mr. McLean in a breakout, please. Thank you.
We can do position number one, Mr. Bragg.
Okay, thank you. This is State versus Cameron Braggs, 24 CR 7368E. Mr. Braggs is accused of criminal trespass from October 29th of this year. Mr. Braggs, you've been advised of your right, and your attorney is Mr. Cook.
30. Got a 2024 possession of marijuana. 2023 felony obstruction, trespass, arrest. He got 6 trespass convictions from 2022 and several from 2021. History out of Tennessee and homeless. That's it.
Ms. Desiano?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This case wasn't on his GCIC, but it is an Odyssey. He also has an open loitering matter. The arrest was October 19th, so a couple of days ago. That's 24 CR 007155F, and it is at a different location from this. This is a Georgia Tech incident, Your Honor. Took place on the 29th at the library at 704 Cherry Street on the Georgia Tech campus around 1 in the morning. The officer witnessed the defendant sleeping on the couch on the second floor, and after investigation determined that he's been issued a lifetime ban from the Georgia Tech campus back in January of this year. And prior, the police were originally called on scene from an employee who saw him trying to enter the building after hours and asked him to leave, and he refused, and then went upstairs and went to sleep. It's my understanding that he has a $3,000 SOB through pretrial level 3 in his open matter. In this case, Your Honor, the state's requesting a $1,000 surety, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and if both of his cases can be reset to SAP.
Okay. Mr. Cook?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 28 years old. He does appear to be homeless. Don't think he has a phone number, and he's not employed, so he has no income and likely no savings. From what I hear of the record, I assume a signature bond would be out of the question, but we would need to get a surety bond as low as possible, given his modest financial circumstances.
All right. The lowest we can go on whether it's acceptable by a bonding company is $1,000. It's a surety bond to stay away from all Georgia Tech property. Case is reset to November 12th, along with 24 CR 007155F. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 3.
This is State versus Michael Dillard, accused of battery, family violence from October 29, 2024. Mr.
You
Dillard.
said this is Davidson, right?
Number 3. No, you don't.
Oh, you said number 3. I do beg your pardon. Okay, sorry. This is DeAnthony Davidson, excuse me, accused of criminal trespass from October 28th, 2024. And Mr. Davidson has been advised of his rights. He is accused, his case number is 24 CR 7370D. Mr. Davidson, your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
6. On probation for shoplifting and trespass out of state court. It's 24 CR 006046D. That was as of September. I'm not sure if he was a judge on it. Also on probation for shoplifting out of the city. That's all.
Okay, 2 open probation cases. All right. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place at the 76 gas station, 548 Northside Drive. Defendant was trespassed from this location on October 14th. He returned to the location on the 15th and was arrested for shoplifting. He then returned to the location on the 29th yesterday, asking to purchase cigarettes. The clerk refused him service, says he's been trespassed. He refused to leave at that point and then grabbed 2 beer cans and threw them and fled the scene. However, he was seen across the street when police arrived, Your Honor. The state's requesting a 1,000 surety, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
All right. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, my client is 19 years old. He tells me he has some T-shirts and hats and things that he sells under his own company. We understand the 2 probations. We would have no objection to the stay away and no further contact, nor to the $1,000 surety.
$1,000 surety? Stay away from the gas station, the 76 gas station at 548 Northside Drive. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, in Atlanta. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and his case will be reset to November 12th.
And Judge, there appears to be private counsel on the line for a Nathan Vaught, and that person's not on any calendar that I have.
Ms. Goldstein, are you here for a particular client?
Yes, Judge, he was on the felony first appearance at 11, and they said that he was also on this calendar. However, I do see on the jail screen he had a preset bond on that warrant. So I was just appearing simply to make sure that the court and the jail had everything that they needed for that case. But if he's not on your calendar, that answers my question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Courtroom 2, who's next?
Position 5.
Five is Dante Jawan Jackson, accused of 1 count of simple battery. Count 2 is simple battery family violence. And count 3 is simple battery against a person who is 65 years or older or who is pregnant at the time of the offense. This is from an October 28th, 2024 incident, case number 24 CR 7373C. Mr. Jackson, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
4. I didn't see any violence in this issue.
Okay. What was the last arrest?
For suspended license out of Coweta County.
And how long ago was that?
2023, Your Honor. He's
Right.
also got a 2020 arrest for 2021 arrest for DUI, and then a 2013 shoplifting that he completed diversion.
And what's the state's recommendation for this particular charge?
Your Honor, briefly, this case was originally, one of the counts was accused as a simple battery. However, I quickly amended it to simple battery family violence. It doesn't appear that's made it on the calendar. So the charges are actually simple battery family violence for count 1, simple battery against female who's pregnant, and then simple battery family violence.
So it's 2 counts of simple battery family violence,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
This incident took place on the 28th at 5401 Old National Highway, apartment 305. The first victim in this case is Jaslyn Boykin. She's pregnant with the defendant's child. They also live together. She stated that she got into an argument over Halloween candy. The defendant wanted to give the kids candy. Mom didn't want the kids to have candy. There was an argument over taking it back and giving it back to the children repeatedly. The victim took the way of candy for the last time. The defendant grabbed her hair, shoved her against the wall, and then grabbed her by the neck and applied pressure, not to the point where she couldn't breathe or lost consciousness. However, during this altercation, the victim's 10-year-old son was present, initials HG. He tried to get the defendant off of his mom, and the defendant punched him in the neck. Both victims had no visible injuries. We've been in touch with Miss Boykin today. She states that she and the defendant are in a relationship. They live together. She's pregnant. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She did say that this is not the first time the defendant's been violent towards her, not the first time the police have been called. This is the first time he's ever been arrested, however. And she states she's not in fear and is okay with contact. And Your Honor, of course, we object to that at this point, given that there's multiple victims and the defendant or the victim is pregnant. We're recommending a $3,000 surety bond. That's $1,000 on each count. No further contact with Miss Boykin or her 10-year-old son. Stay away from the incident location. Family violence intervention program. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Miss Boykin.
Ms. Jaslyn Boykin, if you'd like to contribute, you would need to unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. Cook.
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 30 years old. He's working as a nurse in a plasma center on Buford Highway and has been doing that for about a year. His position is that Ms. Boykin was the primary aggressor. We would be seeking, given his lack of violent record, we would be seeking a signature bond through pretrial. We have no problem with the stairway or no further contact. He has places he can go. I guess Ms. Boykin would like further contact, but we would leave that obviously to the discretion of the court.
I wish she was here to verify that. Okay. On Mr. Cook, on both his counts of simple battery, I believe that the state has filed an amended accusation. It just needs to be updated on Odyssey with regards to reflecting the correct charges. So on the simple battery against a person who is pregnant, that's going to be a $2,500 surety bond. On the simple battery family violence, on each count, that's going to be a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. So his total bond is going to be $4,500. It is a split bond. No further contact with Jaslyn Boykin. He is to stay away from 5401 Old National Highway, apartment 305 in South Fulton. He may return there one time only with a police officer to retrieve his belongings, and then he must update the court with his new address within 30 days of being released. Also, within 30 days of being released, he is to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program at his own expense and attend all 26 classes consecutively with no skips between weeks. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. And his next court date is November 12th.
Number 4.
This is State versus Michael Dillard, accused of battery family violence from October 29th of this year, case 24 CR 73728. Mr. Dillard, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. McLeod. Any priors, Ms. Howard?
He's on federal probation. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon. Unlawful transport of firearms. 2012 probation. 2022 probation. 2012 robbery conviction. That's it.
Ms. Tessiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place on the 29th around 8 in the morning. Officers were dispatched to 6238 High Point Road in Union City regarding a domestic dispute. The parties involved here are brothers. Both brothers appeared to be intoxicated when police arrived around 8 in the morning. They made contact with the defendant initially, who told the officers that he was involved in a fight with his brother. The victim is Lorenzo Gaston. The defendant states that they were arguing over, the defendant apparently wanted to use the victim's vehicle to go to the store. Victim said no. There was a fight. Both parties had injuries. The victim recorded the incident on video, showed the video to the officer who showed the defendant approaching him, saying things like, "Do you want to hit?" and calling him a devil and things of that nature before approaching him. We have been in touch with the brother, Mr. Gaston, today. He states that they live together. He confirmed the events in the warrant. He states nothing like this has happened before. He's not in fear and is okay with having contact. Your Honor, the state's requesting a $2,500 surety bond, no violent contact, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Mr. Gaston.
Lorenzo Gaston, if you'd like to address the court. All right, Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. I would be asking for signature bond, Your Honor. He has no history of violence, and he tells me there's a misunderstanding between himself and his older brother. They do live together at this location, and of course, just as his brother said, they want to have contact going forward. Nothing further.
Someone has appeared on iPhone. I don't know who that is. If you want to unmute.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Boykin. I couldn't figure out how to unmute while Dante was up.
You'll need to wait now. We've already moved on to another case.
Okay,
Please mute your screen.
okay.
All right. I'm sorry, Ms. McLeod, did you have anything else to add?
I did not hear what you said, Your Honor.
I said, did you have anything else to add?
Nothing further, Your Honor. I'm just hoping that the court would consider giving my client a signature bond.
All right. It's going to be a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. He'll be reporting to pretrial twice a month. No further violent contact with Lorenzo Gaston. He can stay with his brother at the same property in Union City if he wants to. But if he changes his address, he's required to provide us with a change of address in writing. Within 30 days of being released, he will enroll in a domestic violence intervention program, and he will attend all 26 weeks of those classes.
Thank you, Your
Honor. All right.
Yes.
No illegal
Your
drugs.
Honor, I believe I had a client who was arrested last night, Jonathan Stone.
I'm sorry?
I believe I had a client who was arrested last night. His name is Jonathan Stone. I do not know if he's on the calendar because I have not received a copy of the calendar.
Okay. But before we get to Jonathan Stone, I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Dillett understands no illegal drugs, no weapons, no firearms, and he needs to show proof of enrollment within 30 days to his pretrial officer. Deputy, do you have a Jonathan Stone in your courtroom?
No, we don't. He wasn't on the pool sheet for today.
So Ms. McLeod most likely will be at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
This per judge.
Yeah.
Position number 2, Mr. Childs.
This is State versus Devin Childs, accused of simple battery family violence from October 29th, 2024. Mr. Childs, your case number is 24CR7369B. You've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. Keith Cook. Mr. Howard?
You got an open case out of the cab. Obtaining dangerous drugs by fraud or forgery. Possession of a Schedule 4, possession of a Schedule 2, Alabama, possession of a controlled substance, 3 counts. I didn't see any violent convictions in his history.
But this is 2 open felony cases?
It appears, yes.
Okay. Ms. Tessiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place on the 29th. Incident location is 770 Glenwood Avenue, apartment 207. The parties lived together. The victim is Tony Roberts. She stated that she and the defendant were arguing over rent prices, and the defendant took his knee and jabbed her in the stomach. She did not call 911, Your Honor. Actually, a neighbor called 911 because this altercation took place on the balcony, and apparently the defendant locked the victim out of the apartment at some point during this altercation. We've been in touch with Miss Roberts today. She states they live together and they share a child. She would not comment on whether she would confirm or deny any of the events in the warrant. She
Hi,
stated
I'm here. Sorry to cut you off.
she said she does not want to say anything that's going to make the situation any worse from what it is right now. She states she's not in fear and she would like him to return to the residence. Your Honor, the state's requesting a $1,500 surety. No contact at this point, given the victim's statements. There's a concern there's a little more going on behind the scenes here. We're also requesting a stay away, family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And Your Honor, she's on the line. Miss Aaliyah Roberts, are you also Miss Tony Roberts? You're muted.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. Could you put your child somewhere else? This is not an appropriate situation to bring a
Oh
child.
no, I totally understand. I don't have any family up here. Don't have a babysitter, and he's been crying, so I'm sorry.
All right. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you bond Mr. Charles out of his felony case last year?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And now he's in jail again due to an altercation, alleged altercation with you. What would you like to do today?
As far as like,
What would you like to tell the court?
oh, okay. I'm sorry. You asked like, what would I like to do? So I thought like you're gonna give me options. So basically, I was just coming, I guess, just to like give my testimonial. I do not feel dangerous like around Devin Charles at all. I don't have like any bruises, any scratches, honestly. And then I never said that we were arguing about rent prices. So my apologies, Ms. Taylor. I don't know where you got that part of the information from. That was brought up yesterday, but that was not a part of the conversation. We were arguing about other little stuff. And I actually, I had like grabbed his phone during the altercation to make a phone call. And that's when I guess everything was already like being blown out of proportion. And the door was already open to my patio. I don't know if I'm allowed to like show you like how the patio is, but the door was already open. So between us kind of like stepping out, talking to each other, blah, 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 blah. In the midst of that, the door, like he did lock the door. Like, so I'm locked out on the patio. So I am like yelling over the balcony, like, hey, like, you know, I need to be let back in. Now, as far as him like grabbing his phone, the whole like knee to the stomach incident, he was trying to grab his phone. Our child was like not in the scene. So in the midst of him trying to grab his phone, of course, I wasn't letting it go. So like, however he maneuvered to get it out, that's how I personally took it. And when I was talking to you, Miss Taylor, about like not like making it worse, I'm like, I didn't know, like, as far as like, I guess, okay, honestly, I don't even know why you kind of, sorry, my baby. But yeah, so I don't feel like not safe. We haven't gotten into it, like, and he's like kind of the only, him and his family is the only help I have up here. And I do supposed to be starting a job on Monday. So like, as far as babysitters, like, I mean, I really don't know like what I would do. So.
Thank you. You may mute your screen. Mr. Cook?
Did I inquire briefly of the witness, Your Honor?
Sure.
Ms. Roberts, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Oh, wait. And Mr. Cook, can I say one more thing? Ms. Taylor, you had stated that the defendant lives with me. No, he actually stays at 3268 Creekway Lane. And majority of the nights out of the week, he does come to the apartment. But if y'all was to send someone here right now, you wouldn't like see majority of his belongings here. Like, he's great help with the baby. Like, we have a 7-month-old baby. Like, okay. And I'm sorry, Mr. Cook, what were you about to say?
Well, it was along that line. You live on Glenwood in East Atlanta, and he lives primarily in Decatur. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
100%. Like,
Okay. Thank
you
you.
can come look at my apartment and see that for yourself.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Is this a rental property?
Yes, ma'am, it is. And that's why I was even stating,
No. It was just simply a yes or no response.
Yeah, yes, ma'am,
So
sorry.
when there is a situation where there is a domestic violence incident
Yes,
at a
ma'am.
tenant's property, you might want to look at your lease very carefully because
Yes.
you could be exposing yourself to an eviction.
Oh, so I've already went down there.
That's all I need to say. Thank you. That's
My
all.
apologies. And yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I 100% understand what you're,
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Okay. Mr. Charles has 2 open felony cases, and I'm not certain what's going on there. His bond is going to be set at 3,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 3. He's to report to Yes, Mr. Charles?
Ma'am, what 2 cases do I have open?
You have in Alabama possession of a scheduled substance, and then you have one in Fulton County where your girlfriend bonded you out last year.
Oh, those are felonies.
I beg your pardon?
I said I didn't know that that
You know
possession.
you have an open felony case?
I
Where?
didn't know the possession case was a felony. My ma'am. Sorry.
You have a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 3. You have to report to pretrial once a week. You're going to be subject to random screens for alcohol and illegal drugs. So you're not to consume any alcohol and any illegal drugs until your case goes to trial. You're to have no further contact with Miss Tony Aaliyah Roberts. And if you wish to have contact with the child that you share with her, you would need to file a separate legitimation action to establish joint visitation and custody. You're to stay away from the incident location, which I couldn't remember where it was, but let me see.
It is
Oh,
770 Glenwood Avenue, apartment 207.
You're to stay away from the entire apartment complex at 770 Glenwood Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. If you have any contact with Ms. Roberts without a court order amending your no further contact, if you return to the apartment complex without a court order allowing you to do so, you risk the chance of having your bond revoked and being in a no bond status and being in jail awaiting trial. While you are out on your signature bond, you will also enroll in a domestic violence intervention program, and you will complete all 26 classes at your expense. You're to enroll in those classes within 30 days of being released. Your next court date will be sent to your mailing address, which I'm assuming we have. Is that in Creekway in Decatur? Okay, all right, thank you.
Next is number 7.
7. Mr. Dominic Mitchell? Okay, this is case 24 CR 7374D. Mr. Dominic Mitchell is accused of battery, family violence, simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespass causing damage to property. This is from an October 23rd, 2024 incident. Mr. Mitchell, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Keith Cook. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
No.
Ms. Desian?
Your Honor, this incident was reported to police on the 25th. The victim, Kenya Boyd, reported 2 days later that on the 23rd, the defendant, who is her children's father, assaulted her. She stated that they recently broke up. They still lived together. They were arguing over another woman. It was heated. The defendant snatched her phone and began to what she described as manhandle her, tossing her around. At one point, he pinned her to the wall with his arms pressed against her neck. She had a bruise on her left arm and scratches on her neck and chest. She tried to leave the location with her children. At some time goes by, she's in her vehicle hiding from the defendant, who has also at this point gotten into his vehicle. The defendant spots her, blocks her in with his vehicle, then approaches her vehicle, and she had her window down a little bit. He grabbed her hat and then jabbed her in the face twice near her left eye while she was in the driver's seat. The defendant then struck her side mirror and broke the glass on her vehicle and got into his vehicle and left the scene. It's our understanding that the incident in the car did happen in front of the kids. We have been in touch with Miss Boyd today. She states that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship. They no longer live together. They do have two children. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that there has been some physical violence in the past with pushing and shoving. This is the first time it's gotten to the point where it went to in this incident. She said this is the first time police have been involved. She's not had any contact with him since this incident, would like to continue not having any contact, and would like for him to stay away from her residence. She did state that he needs a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve his belongings. She is okay with a third-party transfer of their children. The state would object to that absent a legitimation order. Your Honor, it's my understanding he's not legitimated. We're requesting an SOB through pretrial, no further contact with Miss Boyd, stay away from the incident location, family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Your Honor, so there's the battery charge for the incident that happened in the residence. There's the simple battery charge for the incident that happened in the car, and then the criminal trespass for damaging the vehicle. If Your Honor can sound for Miss Boyd.
Miss Kenya Boyd? All right, Mr. Cook?
You know, we have no objection to stay away and no further contact. He has other places he can go to live until this is resolved. We would object to the FBIP, no objection to the signature bond through pretrial, Your Honor.
All right. On count 1, battery family violence, that's a $2,500 surety bond. Count 2, simple battery family violence, that's going to be a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 3. And count 3, criminal trespass, is going to be a $1,000 signature bond for pretrial level 3. This is going to be a $6,000 split bond. Next court date is November 12th. No further contact with Kenya Boyd. To stay away from 680 Hamilton Avenue in Southeast Atlanta. He's allowed to return to that location one time only to retrieve his belongings, and then he's to have no contact with Miss Boyd and the children that he shares with her. If he wishes to have contact with the children, he can file a separate legitimation action to obtain a court order to establish joint visitation, custody, and child support. He's to update the court with his new mailing address within 30 days of release, and he's to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program within 30 days of being released. And he's to attend all 26 weeks of those classes at his expense with no skips. Next court date is November 12th. Thank you.
Everyone else is McLean's clients, waiting on McLean.
All right, including ACDC?
Yes, Judge, that is correct. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Principal. All right, who's hosting right now? Okay, is Miss Jocelyn Boykin? Is that the person who showed up?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Now, which was that case?
Dante Jackson.
Okay. All right, Miss Boykin, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. So Mr. Boykin has received a split bond. He is required to have no contact with you and to stay away from your location. He can't have any contact with any children that he shares with you, and he's to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program. What would you like to tell us?
I'm not in any fear of the Dante. This is his apartment. It's in his name. I'm leaving. I'm actually moving right now. So he can have the apartment. He can come back here. I'm going to be gone. It's going to be completely empty of my things. And I just wanted to state that he didn't have to stay away from his own home.
Okay. I'm still going to require him to have no contact with you and with the children that he may share with you, but he can return to his home based on your representation that you are vacating it today.
Oh, and I also was told like there were two options, like he could have like no contact, and the other one could be like no violent contact.
Exactly.
I don't mind us talking because I am 8 months pregnant and I could go into labor any day now, and I will need him around. So just no violent contact
Ms.
with.
Boykin, the options are based on the circumstances of the case.
Mhm.
I'm exercising the option of no contact.
Okay,
I would recommend that you immediately contact someone to assist you
okay,
at this stage, because Mr. Jackson, by court order, is not allowed to have any contact with you.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who's hosting, please? Is that Miss Lewis? Miss Lewis, can you tell Mr. McLean that we are ready to address his cases now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Bridgewater, has that case been updated to reflect 2 counts of simple battery family violence for Mr. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am, I went ahead and did it,
Okay, thank you.
and it will reflect it on the order.
Excellent, okay. Okay, while we're waiting for Mr. McLean, I just want to, position 1, I'm just confirming that that is going to be $1,000 surety bond. And along with this other open case are going to be reset to November 12. Position 2, Devin Childs, is going to be a 3,000 signature bond to pretrial level 3 with a DVIP requirement. Position 3, Davidson's $1,000 surety, reset to November 12. Position 4, Dillard's a 2,500 signature bond to pretrial level 2 with a DVIP requirement. Position 5, Jackson's 4,500 split bond, reset date November 12 with a DVIP requirement. Position 6, we are waiting for that. Position 7, Mitchell is a $6,000 split bond. Reset date is November 12th with a DVIP requirement. All right, Mr. McLean, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Chansey, if you don't mind, do you solemnly swear that the evidence that you translate will be the true and correct translation with no changes and embellishments?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Thank you. We are addressing State versus Rafael Mendez Moya.
Estamos refiriéndonos a la fiscalía contra el señor Méndez Moya.
His case is 24 CR 7378Y, and he is charged with hit and run, failure to return to the scene of the accident.
El número de caso es 24 CR 7378Y, con un cargo de chocar y huir e incumplimiento de regresar al lugar del incidente.
Mr. Moya, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you choose to say during this open virtual proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you.
Señor Moya, usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio. Todo lo que usted diga acerca de los hechos de este caso pueden y serán usados en su contra.
You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean.
Usted tiene el derecho a ser representado por un abogado y el señor Michael McLean es su abogado.
Any prior incidences, Mr. Howard?
¿Hay algún incidente anterior?
His other cycle was by from ICE. This is special interest alien. That's all.
Hay un arresto que de parte del Departamento de Inmigración con respecto a ser un individuo indocumentado especialmente interesante.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Señora Allen.
This is from October the 26th at about 5:13 p.m. in the afternoon.
Esto es ocurrió el 28 de octubre, más o menos a las 5 de la tarde.
An accident occurred, or a collision occurred, at Arnold Mill Road in Milton.
Y en el camino Arnold Mill Road en Milton ocurrió el accidente.
The Defendant was identified using tag information from his 2017 Chevy Spark.
Se obtuvo la información de su placa de su vehículo del 2017.
He left the scene without providing any information to the victim of the collision.
Y se fue del lugar del accidente sin proveer información a la víctima requerida.
And he was identified using the tag information from his car.
Y se identificó usando la información de su placa.
The state's asking for $1,000 SOB through pretrial. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. He is licensed, has a valid license, Your Honor. It's not suspended.
Se pide una multa de fianza de $1,000 con una que sea bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio y que se quede prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas. Él tiene una licencia válida, no está suspendida.
Your Honor, we have, oh, is it, ready?
Yeah, they're asking for a signature bond. So
Right.
anything else to add?
If I don't have any objection to that, and I just wanted to point of personal privilege, I wanted to ask the translator to point out to him that because we're agreeing with the bond, he won't hear me go through all the reasons that we discussed about why he deserves one because we don't have an argument today. So I don't want him to feel left out.
Yo no tengo ninguna objeción, pero creo que pedirle al intérprete que le explique al acusado que debido a que estamos de acuerdo con esta sentencia, yo no voy a explicar todas las razones no voy a dar toda la información del caso que discutimos antes, ya que vamos a estar de acuerdo con este convenio declaratorio.
Bond is set at $1,500. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1.
Entonces, la fianza será de $1,500 bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio. En el nivel 1.
No driving without a valid license, adequate insurance, and proper registration.
Queda prohibido conducir sin licencia, sin seguro y una registración apropiada.
Maintain a current address with the courts at all times.
Tiene que mantener su domicilio correcto y actualizado con el tribunal en todo momento.
And his next court date will be sent to his current address.
Y la próxima fecha de comparecencia en el tribunal será enviada por correspondencia a su domicilio actual.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Inquiry, Your Honor, do we have in the clerk's records the apartment unit designation in addition to the 1300 so-and-so lane?
Quisiera saber si el departamento está señalado en el domicilio del 1300 algo Lane.
Sí. I'm on a different window. Miss Lewis, do you have the complete address for Mr. Moyer?
Señora Luis, ¿tiene el domicilio correcto?
Second, Mr. Moyer. The address that I see on record, my Odyssey's kind of slowly.
I don't have a unit number. I have.
I don't have a unit number either. Is there
No la
a
tengo.
unit number?
It is correct that the 1300 R word lane, but it should also say apartment I, the letter I.
Tiene que también decir departamento I.
Right. 1300 is the building, so if it's added, it'll.
Okay.
Did you say apartment or unit?
Well, it's an apartment or unit, doesn't matter. It is an apartment. But it's apartment I.
Es el edificio 1300 y el departamento o unidad es la letra I.
Okay, I just updated it.
Ya lo he actualizado.
Thank you.
Gracias.
All right. Anything else?
¿Algo más?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Pansy.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Have a
Uh-huh.
good day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, courtroom 1, we're concluded. Let's move on to ACDC or courtroom 2. Where should we start?
This is
ACDC.
gonna be position number 13, Woodley.
Okay. This is State versus Ms. Lisa Woodley with false report of a crime from August 31st of this year under case 24 CR 7377G. Ms. Woodley, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
Second. Last arrest was 05.
Miss Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. So at about 2:30 in the morning on the 31st of August, there's an ATM at 240 Peachtree Street Northwest. This defendant made a police report saying that she'd been robbed, and police obtained the surveillance from the Wells Fargo there at the ATM and determined that she'd made inconsistent statements and lied about what happened when she made her report. Initially, she reported to the police that she was picking up a delivery for mobile food orders in the area, and an unknown black male approached her, asked for her number, asked for money. She told him she didn't have any cash and no access to apps like Cash App. So they drove separately together to an ATM nearby. That's at 240 Peachtree. She claimed that he snatched her card while there at the ATM and then used it while he was putting something else into the ATM, like a deposit, but she wasn't sure. She said she was begging for her card to be returned to her. It was clear he was unsuccessful in the way he used the ATM. He became upset with her and pushed her against the wall, demanding that she get money out of the ATM, and she refused. She reported that he walked back to his vehicle and she followed him, asking for her card. And she said she was going to call 911. She said she went to her car and called 911, and that he came at her and tried to snatch her phone. And then he left with her card in his possession. Unsure why she decided to call the police. It's not clear that the defendant took, or the unknown black man took her card. The police investigation revealed that the card was stuck in the ATM, that there'd been a transaction or a deposit that had been attempted with her card into her system and her account fraudulently with a different amount on it than what was being actually deposited into the ATM itself. Surveillance was obtained for the location. The report indicates that she doesn't appear to be under duress. She walks willingly at least twice up to the ATM with the gentleman and waits quietly as he completes his transaction, that there's no pushing seen by anyone while they're there on the surveillance, and no one takes her card from her. So the card was actually in the ATM. Her card for her bank account was used to try to do a transaction or a deposit and trick the system about how much was the deposit was actually for. That wasn't successful. And so at 2:30 in the morning, she made a call and reported a robbery rather than just deal with the fact that her card was canceled, in order to avoid the discrepancy that was about to happen in the bank and associated with her account.
How old is she? 87.
1987.
She's over 30 years old. Bond is set at $2,000. It's a signature bond through the jail. Miss Woodley, my only condition to you is stop being a helpful and loving person and now start using some common sense. This is an open, active criminal case against you. You don't allow strangers to follow strangers around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Well, that's all I'm going to say. Next court date will be sent to your current mailing address. If you fail to appear, then we get to arrest you again. So don't make that happen twice. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge, you said it was 2,000 SOB through the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Number 8.
Your Honor is probably not surprised at how similar the comments I made to her were.
Oh, well, you know, at our age, Mr. McLean. Okay. Who do we have in courtroom 2, please? I'm sorry, Deputy.
Number 8.
Thank you. This is State versus Dion, and Palmer. Mr. Palmer is accused of battery, family violence, and criminal trespass causing damage to property involving one Diamond Benson. Do we have a Diamond Benson? I have one iPhone, but I don't know who it is. Mr. Palmer?
Online, Judge. I see her on the line.
Okay. Mr. Palmer, your case number is going to be 24CR 7376Y. And this incident date appears to be from February 26, 2023. You've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Mr. Howard, any priors?
Second arrest, 2022 suspended license.
Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident took place February 26th of last year. Officers were dispatched to 1133 Huff Road regarding a fight in progress. The victim is Diamond Benson. She told police that her child's father got upset with her after they went out to the club, and she was talking to a woman that the defendant was talking to. The victim stated the defendant got upset, grabbed a bat, and started damaging her television, her desktop computer, and her mirror. The victim at that point tried to wrestle the bat out of the defendant's hands, and he struck her in the face, causing her to fall to the floor and hit her head. The defendant then began to strangle her, but then stopped and quickly left the apartment. We've been in touch with Ms. Benson today. She states that these parties are no longer in a relationship. They don't live together anymore. They do have a child together. She said that the defendant has since reimbursed her for the damage to her personal belongings. She states nothing like this has happened before. She's actually moved out of state, and the defendant has also moved, so no one resides at the incident location anymore. She is not in fear and would like to continue contact. She's on the Zoom, Your Honor, if you could sound for her at the appropriate time. The state's requesting an SOB through pretrial, no violent contact, family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Benson, if you'd like to contribute, this is the time to unmute and start your video.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I swear.
So you don't live with him anymore?
No,
And he reimbursed you for all the damage to the property?
all of the damage plus some.
Okay. And is there a co-parenting plan in place right now?
Yes. Dion is an amazing father. Nothing like this has ever happened between us before.
I just need to know whether there's a co-parenting plan in place right now.
Yes.
But you don't live in the state anymore?
No, I decided to move home, back home.
You don't need to tell me where. I just want to know whether
Yes.
you both have an arrangement where he can see the child.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
May I add something, please?
Go ahead.
The information in the police report isn't correct. He said that I said that Dion struck me, like closed fist struck me. That isn't true.
Did he take a bat and start destroying items in your presence?
Yes.
Then I would be quiet from this point onwards.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. McLean, is going to be a signature bond through pre-trial. On the battery charge is going to be $1,500 and the criminal trespass is $1,000. This is a $2,500 signature bond through pre-trial services, level 1. You'll need to do 1-day anger awareness program with pre-trial and report to pre-trial once a month until further order of the court. Mr. Palmer, if you change addresses or if we don't have your current mailing address, please make sure that you provide us with your current mailing address in writing every time it changes. You are to have no further violent contact with Diamond Benson. You can continue with any kind of co-parenting plan, but please understand if there are any future arrests, you jeopardize your bond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 9.
This is Garen Brooks. Mr. Brooks is accused of battery, family violence, 2 counts of this particular offense, and 1 count of cruelty in the 3rd degree from July 2nd, 2024. Under case number 24CR 7366E. Mr. Brooks, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. I'm going to check that incident date as well. Mr. Howard, any priors?
Third, 2010 simple battery, 2009 given false name.
2009. Okay. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident was from July the 2nd at about 1 a.m. Police were called to 2585 Beeler Drive, number 38. There they spoke with the victim. Her name is Amarza, it's spelled Amarza, last name Barnes. She told the police on the scene that the father of her child was intoxicated, and during an argument, he began punching her repeatedly in the face and the head. She was able to run from the scene, and the defendant fled from the house. EMTs on scene reported that she had bruising under her eye, pain in her jaw, and a knot on the left side of her head. Their infant, initials AR, under the age of 2, was present in the room when this assault occurred. The victim identified the defendant for police and said that they lived together. She reported she would go to her sister's house for the evening. An investigator actually took out a warrant, Your Honor. We spoke with Mrs. Barnes today. She reported that they no longer live together, but they share 3 children and are in a relationship, that the location is his residence, but neither of them still live there. She is not in fear and would like to continue contact, Your Honor. We'd ask for no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. His last arrest that I see is from 2010, and it was a simple battery. He completed pretrial intervention, and it was dismissed. We'd ask for no violent contact with Mrs. Barnes.
Okay. And just to correct, the calendar has it as 2024 for 2 of these, but it's all in 2023. July 2nd. And the warrant was taken out on July 11th, 2023. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. McLean, this is going to be a signature bond for pretrial. On the battery, it's going to be $2,500 for count 1. It's going to be $1,000 for count 2 and $1,000 for count 3. Total is $4,500 signature bond for pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with Amarza Barnes. He is to attend and complete 1-day anger awareness program. Well, let me see. He has children with her. Yeah, no, I'm going to require
3.
VIP. Yeah, this is going to be a DVIP. Mr. Rooks, within 30 days of being released, you are to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program. And this will be a series of classes that you would have to attend and complete at your expense. There are 26 weekly classes that you must complete. You must show proof of enrollment to your pretrial officer when you upon being released. Remember, within 30 days. No further violent contact with Ms. Barnes, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Thank you.
Judge, also the solicitor, y'all may want to file amended accusation on the date on that battery family violence, because in the accusation
Noted.
that date, that's the reason why it printed up like that on the counter.
Thank you.
So count 2 and count 3, the dates have to be amended. All right. Thank you.
Number 11, Weldon.
Dennis Weldon is accused of battery, family violence, and cruelty in the 3rd degree from July 2nd, 2023. Mr. Weldon, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
43, on probation out of Clayton. Possession of marijuana, controlled substance, open container, possession of a firearm, no proof of insurance. What else? 2017, possession of a Schedule 2 sale of marijuana conviction. 2014 FTA. That's it.
Any FTAs in the last 5 years?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Ms. Allen?
Thank you. This is an incident. I also have the 2nd of July. One moment. It says 2023. Police were called at about 3 p.m. to 5220 Blackheath Way in Fairburn. There they spoke to Mrs. Nikisha Schamberger. She said she's the live-in girlfriend of this young man, that She had asked him to leave, and he did for a period of time. He left the location at about 5 a.m., but returned again, and she was cleaning the bathroom with her son, who is disabled and nonverbal. The defendant came into the location and approached her. She had bleach in her hand, a bottle of bleach. He struck her, and that caused the bleach to splash and fall and get all over her face. It was seen on her face. The smell was fresh to police on scene. They observed her eyes were visibly irritated. She needed some help as a result of that, and she called 911. She was treated on the scene, but not transported to the hospital. A warrant was obtained, and the defendant was arrested. We spoke to Mrs. Nikesha Schamberger today. She reported that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship and they share no children. She confirmed the incident and said that there'd been nothing like this that had happened before. She's interested in having no contact. We would ask for a $3,000 surety bond, Your Honor, no contact with the victim in this case, Mrs. Schamberger, and stay away from wherever she may live, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. The last arrest I have for this gentleman is 2021 in Clayton County for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 44 years old. I did understand and heard the number of arrests prior. He has a job as a caterer at Perfect Note, and he also does delivery of auto parts for an FMP company on Decatur Street, DeKalb Avenue, Decatur Street in downtown Atlanta. So he's quite industrious, working 2 jobs. He has some culinary school experience after high school at something, I wasn't sure of the name of it, Middle Technical College, I believe it was. Having heard the facts of the allegations, the accusation, we would ask the court to consider a signature bond, or if not that, then a $1,000 surety bond.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
We do have a correct address for him. I don't know if unit number 20 or apartment 20 is on the Anger Avenue address, but if it's not, it needs to be called apartment 20 at that address.
No, it's not. All right. If you could put that in the chat or let Miss Lewis and Miss Bridgewater know, the address needs to be updated. On the battery family violence, that's going to be a $1,500 surety, and the cruelty matter is going to be $500. This is a $2,000 surety bond. No further contact with Nikesha Schamberger. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons, no firearms. And next court date is November 12th. Thank you.
Position 12.
This is State versus Jaquarius Winters, case number 24CR7375E. Mr. Winters is accused of criminal trespass and loitering and prowling from June 28, 2024. Mr. Winters, you have a right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean, as advised. And any prize, Mr. Howard?
17. He's an open drug charge out of Douglas County. On probation in Fulton for felony shoplifting. It's 23 SC 189251. On probation in state court, theft by taking, trespass. It's 24 CR 002354E. 2024 FTA, 2023 probation FTA. They got probation hold.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from June. Surveillance video and some investigation was used to identify this young man. Police were called at about 10 p.m. to 674 Holcomb Bridge Road. That's the location of Brown and Company Jewelers. Off-duty police officer working at the location noted that the power had been turned off. They were trying to open the store the next day, realized that the power had been disconnected to the entire store. Video surveillance was checked, showed a defendant, young man on a skateboard, go past the area in the back of the strip mall location, get off his skateboard and walk over to the big power levers for the utility and pull them down. He was identified because he's a well-known homeless man, and revealed that he had been found nearby at 637 Holcomb Bridge. At the same time, the power people responded because of the power getting shut off there in the area, because that location had also had their power been affected. And so another report about power being turned off at the same time was made by a different business, and the defendant was located there at that location at the time. And that was part of how they identified him. He does have a felony unindicted case for mail theft. He just pled on May the 9th of this year in 24 CR 002-354E for theft by taking. And is scheduled, like pretrial said, for a probation violation on
November 13th.
shoplifting case in November 23 CR 002-890E. So he currently has 3 cases that he's either out on bond for or he's under sentence. So that's a felony shoplifting, open shoplifting that he's under sentence for, two cases, and an open theft by taking. Based on that, Your Honor, we'd ask for a $3,000 cash bond. Stay away from the location at Brown and Company Jewelers, 674 Holcomb Bridge. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, with the hold, of course, it doesn't look like he'll be immediately going anywhere. We would ask the court to consider something like a $2,000 or $3,000 surety bond. He, let's see, let me grab the right piece of paper. He works landscaping. He's done that for 6 years. He has seen to some medical problems. He has a good mail address, but like I said, he's going to go see that probation hearing next at any rate. He's local, and he is, of course, 30 years old, and that's what he's asking. Thank you.
On the criminal trespass, it's a $2,000 surety. On the loitering and prowling, it's a $1,500 surety. Total bond is $3,500. Surety bond. Stay away from the Brown and Jewelers Company on Holcomb Bridge Road. No illegal drugs, alcohol, and firearms. And next court date is November 12th at 9 a.m. He has a probation hearing before Judge Morrison on November 13th at 2 p.m. with regards to his 3 other cases that is scheduled before Judge Morrison. Then I don't know what's going on in Superior Court with his other matters. All right, thank you. I believe that concludes the calendar. Deputy, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
I need you to go back to number 4.
All righty. Number 4, that was Jackson. What were we doing?
I don't know. You was going down the calendar.
Oh, okay.
You want to just start over?
All right, I can do that. Position 1, Braggs is a where was it?
$1,000 good.
$1,000 surety bond. Reset date to November 12th. Position 2, Childs is a $3,000 signature bond for pretrial, level 3 with DBIP. Position 3, Davidson's $1,000 surety, reset date November 12th. 4, Dillard's a $2,500 signature bond for pretrial, level 2, DBIP per judge. Position 5, Jackson's a $4,500 split bond, level 2 with DBIP. Position 6, Mendes Moya is a $1,500 signature bond for pretrial, level 1. Position 7 is a $6,000 split bond with a DBIP, reset date November 12th. Palmer is
That was level 3, right? Number 7.
Number 7. I got it as level 3, correct?
Okay.
Palmer, position 8 is a $2,500 signature bond for pretrial, level 1, 1-day anger awareness. Position 9, Rooks is a $4,500 signature bond for pretrial, level 1 with DVIP requirement. Brianna Shivers is a $2,500 split bond, reset date November 12th. 11 Weldon is a $2,000 surety bond, reset November 12th. Winters is a 3,500 surety bond, reset November 12th, nothing else needs to be reset. And Miss Woodley is a $2,000 signature bond to a jail because she's a very loving person. That's according to the warrant. So, all right. Anything else, folks?
Thank you for the help with the Garen Rooks case. I'll file that amended accusations right now.
All righty. Okay, everyone, you have a happy Wednesday. And do I have, no, I don't have a C calendar tomorrow.
Friday.
No. All right. Happy Halloween if I don't see you before then. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ms. Bridgewater, did you see the message with those case numbers?
Yes. Judge, did you want me to add those to the calendar for Winters?
She left mighty quick.
Thank you, Miss Allen.
I would say just note them on the calendar, but if he's already